Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today, bringing you guys and gals Toriko chapter 351 and 52 review. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to dive into the chapters because each chapter has a lot of dialogue, a lot of exposition, and I may forget about a few things here or there, but ultimately speaking, Area 6 is done, and now we should be going on to Area 5, but it looks like before then, we're going to be going on to the Rampaging Beast Jiro against the Blue Nitro, Midora and Joey, and finally Don Slime versus Neo Demon Acacia. So, before that, chapters 351. This chapter is more so for the characters, because you have characterization, very good for Asuruti. Asuruti, I think, had some good character development, characterization. Don Slime, broken. But he has good characterization in this chapter. Then you have Komatsu, Chio, and then that's really it. But I'm going to start here with Komatsu. Komatsu, his characterization comes from the whole Chaco and his mom thing. Because when I think about it now, Chaco is a massively irrelevant character, as well as his mother. They have no overall worth to the story. And we find out that the guy with the mask that's been like around Komatsu for the majority of this arc, we find out that that guy is actually like Chaco's grandfather. He's actually the father of Chaco's mother. So when I think about it, it's not more so for Chaco or his mom, it's more so for Komatsu, because it shows you the type of guy that Komatsu is, where even though he has to deal with these much bigger issues, like cooking the country's project, like taking care of another, like going into the soul world itself, you know, trying to satiate the hunger of the gourmet demons in the soul world, and these types of situations. And after this, he has to go and take care of, you know, Neo Demon Acacia and Acacia's full course, the legitimate full course with Toriko. But despite all that, Komatsu, at the end of the day, still wants to bring it back home, where you have people, regular folks, they can sit down, enjoy a meal together, use it as a means of communion, and just embrace one another, and food is that glue, right? Food is the glue that brings everything together. Then, you got Don Slime. This broken, oh my god, broken motherfucker. No, let me not throw Don Slime. Chio, in a nutshell, is she gets to see her son, right? Chiyu, the son of Chin and Chio, and he basically lets it be known that he was actually full of Chio's love, because she could never cook him a meal, but she truly loved him, and he was full of that love, and he wants her to know that, and she has that closure now, where previously that would always be on her mind. She always regretted that. Now she has that closure, and now she can move on with her life, what little life they have left. And what I find interesting there is how she says, what little life we have left. And I'm kind of like, so are you implying, like, is there a message there that, like, is she gonna die? Are they both gonna die? Maybe, because they are old, and at this point in time, they may feel the need to sacrifice themselves for the young folk. Maybe, but we'll see. Now, moving on from there, backpedaling, Don Slime. He's a freak, okay? We find out a few things about Don Slime that are crazy. Don Slime, we find out that he resides everywhere in Blue Grill. Blue Grill, mind you, is a giant shell like the size of the United States of America. Huge. Don Slime exists everywhere. He is everything in Blue Grill. This guy's crazy. Don Slime has the ability to become anything that, meaning not just things like rocks and bricks and whatnot, even people, even living organisms. He can become any living organism and anything on a cellular level. Bro. And he exists throughout the entirety of Blue Grill. He exists in these microbes. He forced these microbes to consume Acacia's full course. The original full course. And then he would resurrect time and time again until you had this absurd number of Don Slimes that now reside everywhere. And that's absolutely insane. Not only that, not only that, but it is stated by Gigi that Don Slime, because in the manga stream translation, they call him a cosmic level threat or disaster. In the Batoto translation, he is stated to be a universe scale disaster. A universe scale. A universe scale disaster. Now, Don Slime is like millions upon millions of years old. He's a very old gourmet demon. He's an ancient class gourmet demon. And now we can see why he's considered to be up there with Neo Demon. Alright? He's one of the forefathers of gourmet demons, period. And it's like, bro. Like, this guy's absolutely nuts. And he not only does he have this power, but you need to have a very powerful host in order to host that power. For the main body of Don Slime, he has bodies that exist, but the main body is the one that has to be resurrected. And normally it was Ichiryu. Ichiryu was the house for the main body of Don Slime originally. And then, as that was happening, the other bodies of Don Slime would still reside within Blue Grill, maintaining everything, watching everything, just to make sure that no one actually consumed the pseudo full course of Acacia. In fact, you can argue that Don Slime's, I think it was actually implied in the chapter, that Don Slime himself is actually a part of the pseudo full course. Like, he comprises of some degree of the pseudo full course. Ikasama, as well as Don Slime, and Don Slime was the one who breathed life into Ikasama, if you would. And those two together, they were able to, because he is a spiritual Saiseya, whatever it's called, Saiseya. And basically, it's implied that Don Slime itself resides within the pseudo full course. That's crazy. And now the current host, Asaruti, he does have the strongest gourmet cells in Blue Grill. And apparently every person in Blue Grill has, like, their gourmet demon is Don Slime. Holy fuck, man. The people of Blue Grill have one gourmet demon, and that gourmet demon is Don Slime. At least for the most part. Can't say all of them, because I think it was stated that there may be some exceptions. But as far as you know, they're all rocking a Don Slime gourmet demon. And he has the strongest cells among everyone among everybody in Blue Grill. But Asaruti himself is not Ichiryu. So it looks like his body can only be sustained for a short period of time. How much time exactly, I'm not too sure. But long enough to actually contend with Neo Demon for a long period of time? No. No. Hell no. So, fact of the matter here is that Don Slime's credibility keeps on rising. The guy's a freak. Like, truly. Like, he brings a whole new meaning to what the fucking Toriko. And Toriko's already what the fuck on so many levels. So, that's Don Slime for you. And Asaruti has some pretty intense shit. Because he remembers when they're in the soul world, he remembers when another starts to, flood everything. He remembers Silk, his former lover. How many years ago? How many centuries ago? Who the hell knows? But Silk has been waiting at this church for him for a very long time. And she died there on her knees praying at this church. And her corpse was mummified in this prayer stance. And Asurudi sees that shit. Okay? And mind you, Asurudi has been getting some character development time. Like, it's slowly. His characterization and character development was done in increments over the course of this arc. Over the course of this flashback, mainly. And it all comes to a close when he sees his former lover kneeing her corpse mummified like this. Starts to cry. Talks to Don Slime. I'll be the host of your body. And as he's consuming the full course of Acacia, he starts to see her. And he passes on through that. Like, we never see, like, his body. Like, we never see what happens to, like, his body, per se. But what we do see is, like, the soul, like, kind of, like, leave and, like, go off into heaven or whatnot. And that's what happens to Asurudi. Where Asurudi, in the same way Chio got closure by seeing her son in the soul world, Asurudi decides to move on. He decides it's enough with being revived time and time and time again. I'm done with that. I remember what my original purpose for coming back was. It was for Silk. I forgot. It's closure not only through the sense of seeing her, but also there is that shame element where he was so ashamed of himself because he forgot. He just plumb forgot about his lover, Silk. And you can understand why. But it was like, shit. That, I think, was good for Asurudi's character. And yet now he's done. So what happens to him now? I mean, as far as we know, either it's the soul world or it's Nirvana or heaven. Because in Batoto, when the Grimming demons disappear from the soul world, it's stated that they go to heaven, not Nirvana. So, whatever. Alright, because we're not seeing heaven or Nirvana anytime soon. Not in Toriko, at least. So, Asurudi, I think, had the best characterization among all the characters, and character development among all the characters in this arc thus far. I think, honestly, I think it's hands down Asurudi. Because his character was fascinating. It was very fascinating. And I like how his character ended off. One more thing. The soul gates being destroyed, I think another did that on purpose. Because whether or not, honestly, listen, whether or not the soul world is infinite or not, I still got no idea. Honestly. There's a heavy weight under the word infinite. There's a heavy weight. However, when I think about it, another probably closed the gates on purpose to enter into the soul world. This is right here is the difference between Batoto translation and everybody else. In Batoto translation, when he ran over to that piece that was making all these another, Komatsu looks at the piece and says, wait, there's a piece missing. Like there was some part missing of what he cooked. And that part may have been what was creating all these another. So, in the manga stream translation, it was close the cut. And Komatsu says there's no cut. There's a difference between closing a cut that was made and a piece missing of the ingredient itself. There's a clear difference. So, very fascinating. So that being said, this chapter of Toriko, chapter 351, I'm going to say is a good plus chapter. And now we're going to move on to chapter 352. This chapter of Toriko was a lot simpler from a structure standpoint. And I got to say, like, listen, this is, I think, important because these are scanlations, all right? And scanlations from a translation standpoint, sometimes they have their issues. The fact that they mistranslated Whale King Moon to be consumed by the piece of Neo Demon, even though we saw that Whale King, well, we didn't really see per se, but we knew that Whale King Moon had decimated his opponent. That to me, I was like stunned. Now I'm happy to say that that was a hiccup. But holy shit, that was one hell of a hiccup. Dudes. Batoto, they took their time with the translation because it came out later. And I think, and it was, they didn't have that hiccup. Alright? It clearly was established that Whale King Moon, like when he consumed that piece of Acacia, it was in the soul world. And basically, Don Stein was commenting on that because Ikasama told that to him. But when I found out, or when I first read that it was the other way around, I could not believe what I was reading. So, Whale King Moon, I'm happy to say, is alive and well, still epic as shit, still beastly as shit, and that piece of Acacia is still in the soul world. How it's going to get out, I'm not too sure, but I do think that Neo Demon can actually go between worlds. I do believe that, but that's a theory of mine. I'll talk about that later. Now, moving on from there. When it comes to pacing, this chapter is faster because it ends the arc. Like, it ultimately ends the arc of Area 6. And it gives you snippets of what's about to come with Nakamaster Jiro and the Blue Nitro, Acacia, and Acacia Neo Demon against Don Slime, and Acacia versus Don Slime, and then of course you have Midora and Joey. So it gives you the setup for what's to come, but there's no Area 5 in that setup. So I'm wondering like what's going on with Area 5. All right, like let's not skimp out on Skydeer. Don't you fucking dare skimp out on Skydeer, Mitsutoshi. If you do, I'm coming. All right, I'm coming to your place. I'm gonna find your address and I'm coming. The last thing you want is a big black guy knocking on your door at 6 o'clock at night. I'm coming. All right. So that being said, first of all, there's more intel on Don Slime and how his powers basically work. I did mention them in the previous part of the video because they go hand in hand with these two chapters. But basically, what we find out more of is how when Asuruti ate the full course, the pieces of Don Slime, they all left the people in Blue Grill to go over to where Asuruti was, where the main body would be. And not only that, but that can only happen in the back channels, because the back channels have ties to the soul world. So what happened with the pieces of Don Slime in the people of Blue Grill cannot happen in the surface world, because the surface world has no ties to the soul world, but Blue Grill does, because Blue Grill is a back channel. So that's very important to note. Very important to note. So if time runs out when it comes to Asuruti's body, and mind you, time is fairly wonky because Asuruti was born in Blue Grill, but now he's going up to the surface world. So time is going to be faster. So the amount of time that Don Slime could be in Asuruti's body is probably shorter in the surface world compared to the Blue Grill, I think. With that being said, when he disappears, does that mean that he's going back to, let's say, a back channel, or is he going to the soul world? I'm not too sure specifically, but we'll find out how that works out. And at the end of the day, Don Slime will disappear if he stays in the soul world. Once Asuruti's body erodes, and it erodes on the surface. So he'll probably just go back to like the soul world, or he'll be transported like through a back channel somewhere, back to Blue Grill, something like that. Well, we're gonna find out. Now, character-wise, there is a little bit here for Komatsu with the whole wrapping up the Chaco family thing, which was heartwarming, and again, that family unit and food and the memories being restored through another, that was kind of cool. There was no end of arc, like festival or feast. Like, there was none of that. Normally there is. Normally there's a feast of some kind. They eat the food, they eat another, they regain the memories, everyone's happy, like, yeah, they all party. No, none of that shit. Because they're on the clock. So they skipped it all, and they regained their memories all off screen. So that was very lackluster. Like, oh, okay. So we're eating the food of another, which took them 65 years to prep, to cook, and That was all consumed off screen. Yeah. Like, we saw nobody consume another. Period. I mean, granted, the main person is going to be Toriko, Sunny, and Coco, whatnot. But still, normally there's a party. And the party was cut massively short. In fact, you know what? We skipped the party. We skipped it. So, that kind of sucks. But, ultimately speaking, it's there for Komatsu to wrap up the whole Choco family thing. And when they go back up to the surface, they experience this time fluctuation thing where their bodies have to now readjust for the time in the surface world. And I didn't notice this at first, but Komatsu's nose did in fact change over the course of all this time. I did not notice that at all. At all. Where his nose looked like Chaco's nose, like kind of like my nose. But it then slowly changed to like a more pointy nose. And now it's back to its original form. And so everybody that was born in the surface world, so Yuta, Rin, Nono, Chio, Chin, all of their bodies recalibrate for the surface world. So that to me I found very interesting, where the body itself knows to adapt or it readapts depending on how time flows in certain areas and depending on where you were born. So if Asaruti, let's say this for example. So we know that Condor and Picnic Bomber, they're up there in the surface world right now. When they go back to Blue Grill, how are their bodies going to adjust for that time difference? I'm not too sure. But it's going to be fascinating. Like, will they regress? Like, will they become kids for like a few seconds and like they'll like go back to like the regular forms? I'm not too sure. But overall, fascinating. Like, nonetheless fascinating. And we get to see Love. Warden Love is there. All right, what happened with her? That is something that I think was, when I saw Warden Love, I was like, oh shit. I completely forgot about what the fuck was going on with these guys. Like, what the fuck? That whole thing with Love, with Rala, the other guy, skipped, completely glossed over like it was. And this is where I have the big problem with the pacing of this arc. If I'm going to compare this arc to Area 8, Area 7, this arc clearly has worse pacing. The structure is no even near as good as the previous two arcs. And this is an example, and this is a clear example of that. Warden Love just appears like, yeah, I'm here. Everything's taken care of, and I'm good. And we find out that Rala, he's going to stay behind in Blue Grill to try and make Blue Grill, to try and make the giant shell into a new spaceship. What? I mean, like, I knew that we were doing some space shit with Toriko. Rala is the gourmet astronomer. So he had a previous spaceship that was lost or something? Like, because I forget this, because I'm not too sure if that was ever highlighted. Because the space of it has always been hinted. It's been hinted, but it's never been truly like explored in Toriko. And all of a sudden, Love talks about how Rala is going to make the giant shell into a spaceship. A shell underwater is going, the size of freaking America, is going to be a spaceship. How the fuck does that happen? And they have 1 week left until the solar eclipse. 1 week left till the solar eclipse, because they spent 3 weeks in Blue Grill, comparative to the surface world. Which means at some point, God's touching down. It has to touch down. And Center, I'm not too sure, because I don't know what's going on. Center's just weird, man. Darus, what's happening? What's happening there? Seriously. Oh my god, I don't know. So, yeah. So that being said, I'm done. Because after that, everything else already occurs when you get snippets of Acacia and Don Slime and whatnot. And character-wise, it's not as strong as the previous chapter. It had a lot of random shit in it with Love and Rala. Don Slime having that whole thing occur. More explanation about how the Gourmet Demons... Oh, wait, there is one thing. Shit. There is one thing. Completely forgot about it, but we can't skip it over. Listen, a long review, but I'm a thorough motherfucker. Alright? I'm a thorough motherfucker. Listen. It was explained. It was explained by Gigi that Don Slime could not create a host for himself because that host would already have a Gourmet Demon, and that Gourmet Demon would be himself. A Gourmet Demon cannot reside with, like, multiple Gourmet Demons cannot reside within the same cell. If they do, then they'll kill each other off. Even if those Gourmet Demons are part of the same family. So, Gourmet Demons can exist within families, in packs, which is kind of crazy. But we find that out in this chapter. But we find out that only truly mighty people can have multiple Gourmet Demons exist within cells, within their bodies. These people are very, very rare. As far as I know, there are two examples of that. There's Sunny and there's Toriko. Okay? Sunny has his regular hair and he has his Saiyan hair. The same thing was locked up. It was in some pot in like his inner self, and it comes out when he needs it. Toriko, and so that one I'm not too sure if they're actually like two different Gourmet Demons. But Toriko, for sure, we know he has two, possibly three. Okay? He has red, he has blue, there could be a black one. He has the two Onis, red and blue at least. That's crazy. So there was a theory that everybody had at least two Gourmet Demons. If you had a Gourmet Demon, you at least had two. And that theory, I think, is now shot. Because, well, Gigi said, you can't. Because if you do, then those Gourmet Demons will kill each other. They can't exist within the same space like that. Unless you are truly mighty. Toriko is truly mighty. That right there establishes how powerful Toriko is comparative to everybody else. Innately. Especially if he has three. Oh, then that means Toriko is rocking the Jesus sandals. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. The Jesus sandals, the Buddha robe, whatever it is, the Muhammad turban, he's rocking the whole thing. Toriko is your freaking god. He is your prophet, motherfuckers. And that's like, goddamn. Toriko, straight up G. Straight up. So, that being said, now I'm done. Now I'll see you guys and gals later. So, King Lightning, rate the video, comment, and subscribe as always. This chapter Toriko is going to be more so on the good side. Not good plus, because I think the previous chapter had a lot more for the characters, and that was the reason why it was a lot better. And plus, it didn't have like, the random Love and Raw thing, which, no. I'm going to say okay plus to good. Yeah, and I'm done. So, King Lightning, rate the video, comment, subscribe. Have a nice goddamn day.